Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing a tad bit more of a lazy video, but since most of my friends do 40k, I decided I would probably go ahead and do a 40k video explaining every faction, kind of in the same style I did Age of Sigmar. For those who don't know, 40k is sci-fi. It's all sci-fi themed. There's still fantasy aspects, and we'll get to that kind of part once we get to Xenos, but this is mainly your guns. Guns, shooty tanks. A lot more shooty than Age of Sigmar. A lot less model quality. I mean, most of the newer sculpts are really good, but when you look at some of the just basic sculpts, I do believe Age of Sigmar has the better miniatures. But I can give it to y'all. 40k is the better lore. So let's get right on this. You're just gonna see the store for now. I'm not editing all of that again. Um, so let's just go ahead and start with Space Marines. Space Marines are not the they're not the perfect soldiers. Those would go to Custos, which we'll get to soon. But they're the elite soldiers of the Imperium. Yeah, humanity's elite soldiers, as you can see right down here. Um, so there are 8 loyalist chapters right now if we're going off of Firstborn. You'll primarily see Ultramarines. But Space Marines are kind of the most basic army in the game. Um, really mixed, well, really, I guess you would call it. They get releases all of the time, so they have a lot of stuff. You're going to be buying all of the new stuff. But some of my highlights for Space Marines, Tech Marine right here. He's a really good model. I love the kind of tech aspects. Um, Speaking of which, I guess I should probably go ahead and explain each chapter. So we'll go ahead and do that instead of kind of going over my highlights. So there are 8 Space Marine chapters, 9 if we're 10 if we count 11. Sorry. 11 if we count Black Templars, Death Watch, and Grey Knights. So there are 8 Firstborn, 2 Successors, and 1 kind of its own thing as their sprues, as the actual unique models right now. So we'll just start off in shopping list and make my friend happy by going to Black Templars. Black Templars are a successor chapter of the Imperial Fist. They are your Crusader style army. Big melee. I think they use Meltas a good bit. They have all of the neophytes. They have High Marshal Helbrecht as their chapter master, but their High Marshal is their chapter master. But they are all of those Crusader themes, as you can see right there with the Crusader Ancient, the Execrator, the Emperor's Champion. They have a pretty alright combat patrol, and if you do want to get into them right now, you can get a good amount of your heavy stuff with the Sons of Dorn Battalion. Um, but other than that, I am not sure on how they play, but I think it's something to do with like blessing. No, I'm not even gonna LARP on that. I don't know how these play. All I know is that they use a lot of swords, a lot of meltas. And they're also the most zealous of all of the Space Marines out there. All right, so let's move on to Blood Angels. Hello, Gage. Um, Blood Angels are kind of vampire themed. They use kind of an Italian aspect for their like unique armors, but they are their Primarch is Sanguinius. He is dead. He got killed. So right now they have Commander Dante as their thing, as their chapter master, but since Sanguinius is dead, they already owned the red, not owned, they already had the red thirst as a gene flaw, and I believe that the red thirst is kind of, I guess you would say that they just need to drink blood a lot, like a vampire. But since Sanguinius died, they also fell to the Black Rage, which, if we can, I think Lamarty's might be Death Company, but I can't be so sure on that. Um, but Death Company and the Black Rage is when a Space Marine of the Blood Angels kind of loses their mind. They see everybody as Horus and them as Sanguinius, and they will just start killing. I mean, they're kind of just going off of pure impulse and delusion. They will even kill their own allies, and if they can't kill, they'll just straight up die. But this only happens when a Blood Angel like falls to it by getting, I think it's getting like really, really angry at battle, or it just happens randomly. I'm not so sure. Alrighty. Oh, and they have their own unique models like Mephisto and Commander Dante. They'll be getting a bunch of stuff with 11th edition as well. Their upgrade sprue's alright. The Sanguinor is good. Do not buy the Sanguinary Guard. They are chopped. So let's go ahead and move on to Dark Angels. Dark Angels are the first chapter. Their Primarch is currently alive. He is the Lion. Um, they actually have a couple themes. They have a lot of night themes. They're your nightly army. But at the exact same time, they love giant plasma guns. Um, which you can see kind of in their combat patrol, which has all of the Hellblasters. Not all of the Hellblasters, but they do have the Hellblasters. Um, the Interrogator Chaplain needs a refresh. The Lion has a gorgeous model. And I'm not going to talk about lore because I don't really know much about lore for the Dark Angels. All I know is that there's the Fallen, which fell to chaos during the Horus Heresy because I forgot his name. But the Lion came back in, I think, 9th edition. And he is the second Loyalist Primarch currently active. But there are a couple more Loyalist Primarchs alive. Not Rogaldorn. Sorry, Grant. Stop coping. Alright, so we also have the Deathwing Knights, which are your unique Terminators, and you have a bunch of different characters. I love the Inner Circle Companions. Um, but yeah, they're nightly. They have Raven too, but those need to get a refresh. They have the nightly themed Space Marines that love plasma guns. Alrighty, I'm gonna try and just blow through these now. Death Watch. More of a retinue than a chapter. They serve under the Inquisition of the Ordo Xenos. They kill Xenos. You take different Marines from different chapters, throw them into the Death Watch, and your whole goal is to stop Xenos. That is basically it. You can see, though, I don't think their kill team is in stock. Oh, it's right here, actually, if I can click on it. You can see that they're all from different chapters. They still have those own things, but they wear the black armor. They wear the pauldron and the silver left arm. And they will sometimes take Xenos technology for their own guns. Alrighty, moving on. We have the Grey Knights. Your models are ancient, except for Castellan. Really good model. You need to get a refresh soon, but Grey Knights are really cool. They are the most elite psychers of the Space Marines, besides Chaos, which we'll get to later. Your models are old. That's all I could say. You're the most elite of all the Space Marines. You're the second cheapest army in the game. But dang, you need a refresh. Castellan, I mean, technically the Nemesis Dread Knight got a new thing. But who's buying a Nemesis Dread Knight? I mean, it's the baby carrier. Looks like he's carrying around a child. I mean, it's kind of funny, honestly, though. And there's a lot of good kit bashes you can do. I think people put Saturnine Dreadnoughts as kind of a chassis there. Oh yeah, speaking of Dreadnoughts, those are probably my favorite part of Space Marines. Just because I just love the giant hulking suit of armor that they have. I love Terminators as well. Moving on from Grey Knights, yes, I'm just going to try to blow through these. We have the Imperial Fist, whose Primarch, his name is Rogel Dorn. I don't care what you say. I fully believe he's either dead or dying. Um, but what the Imperial Fist are is that they are main defense, um, Firstborn chapter. I actually like the yellow. I like the yellow color. I know some people don't like it. I really like the yellow. Um, they are the main defense chapter. They are the firstborns, the Black Templars. You'll learn that a lot of Imperial Fist chapters are kind of stray off away from their whole guidelines. Other than that, I don't really know if there's much more unique things to say about them. I mean, their defense, they build forts, they love Terminator armor and heavy armor. Excuse me. They love the Power Fist. But that's really all I could say about them. They still have their battalion in stock too. But that battalion's usable in any Space Marine army if you want that easy war machines. Alrighty, moving on to my second favorite. We have the Iron Hands. Our Primarch is very dead. He is Ferrus Manus. We love tech. Technology. Dreadnoughts, all of that good stuff. Gravis armor, all of that good tech we love. As you can see with Ironfather, Pharos, and Cadoc Far, all of like the Iron Hands just modify the hell out of themselves. And I would say we have a pretty good upgrade sprue as well. Um, but other than that, there's not too much more to say on us because we get no lore and no models. So moving on to my first favorite, the Raven Guard. Our Primarch is still alive, but he's not present. We have one of the most beautiful Space Marine models, Aethon Shan. I would say he's a bit better than Logan Grimnar's model, but you can kind of switch them out. Um, he is a gorgeous model. Raven Guard's whole thing is stealth. They do have some heavy stuff though. Like I think they use Centurions a lot. Which might be Legends in 11th edition, but if they aren't, I might pick up one. Actually, I'm not. I don't really like paying Loyalist Space Marines. I just like the lore. Um, they're kind of depressed ever since the Drop Site Massacre. Um, and also Corvus Corax is the absolute goat of all the Primarchs. Beside, well, no, I put him above Mortarion. He's just more likable. He hates tyrants, hates traitors, and right now he kind of turns into a demon bird thingy and is making Logar piss his pants. Alrighty, next up we have the Salamanders. Vulcan is currently alive and he's a Primarch, but he's not this. That's Vulcan Histan. There's a difference. Y'all love fire, y'all love Meltas. Flamers, I think y'all use Gravis a good amount, but I'm not very sure on that. I like the green and I like the volcanic themes. Really, if you just like flamers, if you like hammers, you love hammers. All of that dragon skin and volcanic things. If you like all of your Space Marines having that ash black skin, you like the Salamanders. Alrighty, Space Wolves. Your Primarch, Lehman Russ, is present but not confirmed. He's in the Eye of Terror somewhere. Logan Grimnar is a fantastic model. I love the Wolf Priest as well. I love y'all's Wolf Guard Terminators. Those are really good. And y'all have a pretty good combat patrol as well. Um, I'm not too educated on the lore. I know there's the whole thing with the Wolven. Honestly, the Wolven models aren't my favorite. Thunderwolf Cavalry is silly. But all I know is that your Viking theme, snow. Y'all love wolves, but there's no wolves on your home planet. And that's basically all I know. I don't really pay too much attention to the Space Wolves, but they're not my least favorite of the Firstborn chapters. I'd probably go to White Scars. Alrighty, Ultramarines. Y'all are the poster boys of 40k. You have Rabude Gilliman. He's your Primarch. He's still alive. Um, really? You're basic. And I like Ultramarines. I've started warming up to them. They have really good unique models. The Victrix Honor Guard, Marnius Calgar, Rabude Gilliman. But other than that, you're kind of basic. You could say that all of your unique models are just the normal Space Marine models because practically all of them are painted in Ultramarines color scheme. And Titus is the GOAT. I think he's out. Nope, he's right there. Love Titus. Space Marines 2 is an awesome game. Alright, moving on to the last and my least favorite of the Space Marine chapters, we have the White Scars. I like the kind of Mongolian themes, mainly just because that's one of my favorite parts of history to study in class, but other than that, I don't really like Jagadai Khan. He's alive, but he's not present. He's out there banging with some Jakari. I don't really like the bike theme at all. I don't like that need for speed kind of a whole aesthetic. Mainly just because I don't like the bikes. But I'm kind of biased on that. Alrighty, moving on to the other armies of the Imperium, the Adeptus Sororitas, or the Sisters of Battle. I think y'all are very similar to Daughters of Cain in terms of glass cannons. I like the whole... One of my favorite models y'all have is the one that y'all are going to get next week. But right now, I'm not a huge fan. Morven Vol, I like her. I like those other kind of war suits that go along. The Triumph of St. Catherine is good. But other than that, y'all are kind of similar to the Black Templars in terms of zealousness. Um, that's really all I could say though, because I don't know much. Glass cannon. That's really all I could say. You're a horde army. Uh, all right. We're going to move on to the custodes. Y'all just got new models, and they are gorgeous. Um, especially this custodian dreadnought. My God, is it a good model? So y'all are the elite, the personal bodyguard of the Emperor. The Emperor's kind of in a half state of being alive and dead right now on the Golden Throne, by the way. Um, but y'all used to use a whole bunch of Forge World models. That just got changed, as we could see with all the pre-order stuff. And those pre-order models are gold. I didn't even realize y'all still had those. Goodness. Um, but y'all are the cheapest army in the game. If you love gold, you love custodes. If you love owning like 20 models for a whole army, you love custodes. It's more than that. I'm just exaggerating. But they're pretty cool. Their new models almost made me want to get into them, but I decided to hold off because I wanted to do Age of Sigmar more. Alrighty, moving on to the Adeptus Mechanicus. Y'all have one of my favorite aesthetics. My God, I'm never buying an army. I'm not spending $2,000 on y'all. But y'all just got some new models. I like this battalion y'all have. I love their aesthetic. Love it. Talia Gold's a good model. Kind of reminds me from that one ant from Robots. Hastari, those are good models. But y'all are kind of the hordiest of horde armies, which doesn't make any sense. Y'all should have a lot more weaponized mechs. But no. GW has decided to kind of screw y'all over. Even though I know that you're decently good, it just really doesn't make any sense. Belisarius Call, he's also the GOAT, by the way. He's one of my favorite characters at 40k. He's just a funny guy. Alright, we're going to move on from AdMech into... what is next? I will go over Titans real quick. The most... technically the cheapest and the most expensive army in the game. They're just novelties. You're never going to play these in a real 40k game because you're going to have too much points with like one of them. Maybe you'll fit in a Warhound Titan. But I mean, I'm not spending that. That's only the body, by the way. I'm not spending nearly $2,000 on a body for a dang Titan. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the Astra Militarum, or the Imperial Guard. Oh, I really like the Krieg. The Krieg I really like. Cadian's not so much. Why is that model even still here? It looks like a dang chopped 11 from Stranger Things. Um, but you are also a Horde army, but you don't have to be a Horde army. Because if I were to ever do Guard, I could promise you I would have at least 2 Baneblades on my army. I just run full tanks and a Bulgrin brick. But other than that, y'all are... I mean, you're like Cities of Sigmar in a way. You're the human army. Just the normal person. Just a bunch of infantry, a bunch of tanks, a bunch of artillery. I don't know if y'all hit too decently hard. I think you might with a couple of your units. But if you want that whole horde army aesthetic, you can go for Guard. It's the army that's not even half an army. We have Imperial Agents, and I actually kind of like some of your models. Y'all are getting a really good one, and Quizier Kodiaz is the worst model they've made in a while. But other than that, y'all are kind of screwed over by GW because your army is kind of made to incorporate other armies, which sucks because y'all have some pretty good models. Like where was the Calidus Assassin? Where were they? Yeah, I couldn't tell you. The Execrator Assassin is good. He's great. And I love the giant sniper guy, if I could find him. Goodness gracious, my voice just cracked there. Sorry, y'all. Is he even here? Where is he? Is he not here? Here he is, the Vindicare Assassin. I love that model. Um, but yeah, y'all kind of screwed over just because you're not really meant to have your whole army. It's supposed to incorporate others like Death Watch and Sisters. But hopefully y'all get something at 11th and aren't removed from the game. Alrighty, Imperial Knights. You have a grand total of 3 units you could buy. I would buy this if I was you. This is really good for Imperial Knights. The Knight Destrier is a wonderful, wonderful model. It is so good. I love the little guy in there, how you could see him. But if you just want to own a bunch of gargantuan models, which can be fun and boring to paint at the same time, go ahead, go right ahead. Other than that, I mean, y'all are just the hulking mechs. I would say y'all are like Gundam, but we'll get to the Gundam armies soon enough. And I think that ends it for armies of the Imperium, so we're going to go on to Chaos. Demons are similar to Imperial agents, but instead of not having their whole army, they have 4 armies. You need Bellicor if you want to run all 4. And y'all might not even be an army in 11th edition. But demons are pretty cool. Of course, I love my Maggotkin demons. I love my Nurglings. I love my Plague Bearers. All of the great unclean ones. Horticulus Slymux is the GOAT. I forgot to mention him in my Age of Sigmar video. I still hate Slanesh demons. I think the Khorne demons are alright, but they need a refresh. The Tzeentch demons are alright. They're not the greatest, but they're good. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and move on to... Where's armies? There we are. Chaos Knights. Literally just Imperial Knights, but spikier. And you want run a whole bunch more War Dogs as well. That's actually all I could... When was this a thing? Wow, I never even noticed that. Yeah, this is just your whole... You run a bunch of War Dogs and a couple Hulking Knights. That's basically all you do. Imperial Knights, but spikier and a little bit more hoardy. But you're never going to own more than 20 models, I wouldn't say. Alright, Chaos Space Marines. There are 8 Chaos chapters. We're going to do... How many is there? I think there's 4 for normal Chaos Space Marines. We'll start off with the Iron Warriors, because we already see them with their new release. Before we do that, I need to talk about the glaze on the Defiler. It is such a good model. It is such a good model. Redwall and Death Guard as well. Oh, yeah. It's giant. It's actually pretty well priced. It's just a hulking monstrosity. It's so much better than the 2009 one. My god, is it beautiful. Alrighty, moving on to Iron Warriors. Kravik Morn is a good model. Not a big fan of y'all's lore. You carried the Siege of Terra. You're really well organized. I feel like, honestly though, kind of just that whole... I wouldn't call it pissy, but that whole attitude just kind of drags me away from the lore. Which is kind of weird because I love the bitter aspect of Death Guard, but it always feels like I can't even tell you why I dislike the Iron Warriors. And every Iron Warriors fan is secretly an Imperial Fist fan, even though they act like they hate them. Every Imperial Fist fan is secretly an Iron Warriors fan. Um, but act like they hate them. Alrighty, moving on to Black Legion. Y'all used to be the Sons of Horus, led by Horus. Horus is dead. He's very dead. Surprisingly not the most dead Primarch, though. But y'all are the poster boys for Chaos. Y'all are actually pretty cool. Abaddon, he might complain a lot, but he gets shit done. Cypher, you're actually not even Black Legion. You're the Fallen. Fallen are just evil Dark Angels. That's all I can describe it as. Y'all are just cool. I mean, you're the Ultramarines of Chaos. That's how I would call it. But y'all are just really cool. Even though I don't know much about your lore, which is why I'm acting like I'm a LARPer. Alrighty. I can't really switch over, so I'll just use a Dark Commune as an example. The Word Bearers are my second favorite of all of the Chaos non-deity legions. I love that apostolic theming, and it's very visible in all of your Horus Heresy models, which I won't show today. But y'all don't really have like anything I could show you on here, unfortunately. But the Word Bearers are led by Logar, and they love demons. Logar, he's very evil now, but Loki, he had a reason for betraying the Imperium. Erebus is still a coward. I hate Erebus, and I love Word Bearers. But y'all love demons, y'all love sorcerers. Dark Apostle, he's really good for your Word Bearers. Possessed, they're really good for your Word Bearers. The current Combat Patrol for Chaos Space Marines, that's really good for Word Bearers. Alrighty. We're gonna go and move on to Red Corsairs just because they have new models. Y'all are not really even models. Not models. Y'all aren't really even Chaos Space Marines. Y'all are mainly your own thing. More renegade than anything, but they are pirates. They love to raid, as you can see. Red Corsair Raiders. Huron Blackheart had a really good crash, had a really valid crash out. Um, and I love the kind of cobbled together theme of your army. That's really all I could say, though. Huron Blackheart, if I could see his model, maybe he's down here. No, he's not down here, I don't think. No. Alrighty, let's move on to... I can't show it here. Um, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about Alpha Legion. They're my favorite of all of the Chaos models. Alpha Legion are just great. I love their lore. I haven't kit bashed any of them yet. I'm guilty on that. But they usually use a lot of non-chaos stuff. They'll have a good amount of cultists if you're running their actual detachment. I'm not. I'm running the Cabal of Chaos detachment purely out of fun. I know it doesn't make sense. But y'all are that kind of teal silver aspect. But the main thing I just love about Alpha Legion is the freedom with kit bashing and painting. Because you could paint them transforming into other legions in terms of color scheme. And also, kit bashing, you can just throw on a bunch of loyalist parts and it makes them look so good. Am I forgetting? Oh yeah, I'm forgetting Night Lords. Sorry, Night Lords. Can I find the... where are your raptors? Oof, I can't find it. Here's Hero Blackheart for the Red Corsairs. But anyways, Night Lords are very similar to the Raven Guard, but Chaos. Conrad Kurz is dead. He got beheaded. Um, y'all love jump packs. Y'all love jumping the weaker than you. Y'all love retreating. Y'all are very emo. That's what I could say. You love wearing human flesh. Honestly, I can relate. Um, but yeah, y'all are kind of just the depressed emos of the chaos, which is saying not that much because a lot of them are depressed and edgy. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the goats, the Death Guard, though I hate Typhus. The Death Guard are wonderful. I've already said enough about the Maggotkin of Nurgle, but the Death Guard are just wonderful. I mean, look at Mortarion. He's an alive Primarch. He's a Chaos Primarch, a Demon Primarch. But his model is just gorgeous. Let's take him for a nice spin. You see, all of those aspects are just so lovely detailed, which I love about Death Guard. All of their models are so detailed and intricate. Um, I won't say much on them in this video, though, because I've already made a video on Death Guard, and I've already talked about what I think about the Nurgle aspects. But yeah, that's my favorite army in the game. Let us move on to the Emperor's Children. Y'all are under the god Slaanesh. Y'all have Fulgrim, who's alive, and y'all love pleasure. Um, no, Slaanesh is not the god of sex. No. They are the god of pleasure, of pride, all of that stuff. And no matter how many times I make jokes about it, I know that I'm incorrect. But y'all hardly have any unique models, but all of your unique models are good. I love no. Will this stop popping up? Oh, I had my phone on it. My bad, y'all. Um, I love the Noise Marines. The Noise Marines and the Lord Cacophonous, they're super good. And y'all's old sculpt for the single Noise Marine is really good as well. Even though it's funny that they just sold him as one. Alrighty. Moving on to the... Oh, Iron Warriors and... Dang. Alright, to the Thousand Sons. Magnus is currently alive. He is also a Demon Primarch, along with Fulgrim and Mortarion. Y'all are under siege, if you remember from the Age of Sigmar video. And y'all are the sorcerers. I'm not sure if you're stronger than Grey Knights, but y'all are the sorcerers. Our men, Armin did nothing wrong, and Magnus did nothing wrong, in terms of they literally did nothing wrong. Like, they were supposed to do nothing and they did it wrong. But y'all are all the sorcerer and the change aspect of 40k. In terms of just that mutated stuff, you can see in the Zangors a lot. But even in the Rubik Marines, I gotta say, I love the Egyptian part of their stuff, like their trim. I wouldn't recommend starting them for your first army, though. Excuse me. Just because of how much trim they have. Armin's a good thing on that, but you can see just how much trim they have, which honestly makes me think you want to prime them in their trim color and then paint in the panels. That's all I'm gonna say about them. Let us move. That's Imperium. Sorry. Let us move on to the World Eaters. The World Eaters, hello Gage. They are under Corn. The god of the god of corn. Corn is the god of blood, the god of war. Y'all are just angry all the time. Angry Ron. That's what I'm gonna call him for today. He is the fourth demon Primarch, technically five if you count Pertrabo, but six if you count Pertrabo and Logar, but they don't have models yet, so I don't. He is actually a really good model. Apparently he's kind of ass on the tabletop though, but nobody's buying a Primarch model purely for the tabletop. Y'all could use some more unique models. Y'all need your Red Butchers from 40k, not 40k, 30k, so you can go ahead and replace this Terminator squad. But y'all's Combat Patrol is really good too, to just show that whole kind of angry, muscular look. That's how I would describe it, of your army. I like the Jackals. I actually really like Cultist. And I really like Jackals. But really, y'all are just blood. Blood for the Blood God. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Murder everything for Corn. Because Corn does not care from whence the blood flows, as long as it keeps flowing. Oh yeah. Alrighty, moving on to Xenos. We're going to start off with Eldari. Hello, John. Eldari, I think, are in a weird state right now because technically there's like 3 armies in them. But it's all in one army. In terms of like models, not in like gameplay. Yeah, you have the Yanari, you have the Audari Corsairs, which are brand new and they have gorgeous models, so I'll go ahead and show you all those. Prince Uriel is a really good model. I don't even remember his name, but I love that helmet. I like these little guys as well. But y'all have the Yanari, the Craft World Eldari, and the Eldari Corsairs all in the same army, which is kind of odd. But Eldari are your elves, one of the 2 elves for 40k, and we'll get on to my least favorite faction in all of 40k next. Like I said, I'm usually not a big fan of elves, but these pull it off decently. I like Lycus, I love Fuegan, and I love Morgan Ra and their kind of whole retinues down here with the Fire Dragons, with the Dark Reapers. I love all those. Those Ranger models are really good. Wow. The Avatar of Cain is great. Y'all have the Yanari along with Yvrain and the Yinkarn. You can use Drukhari stuff for them. But y'all are just the Space Elves. That's the main way I can describe it. I think you're a bit more fragile on the tabletop, but you hit pretty hard when you can. Alright, moving on to my least favorite, the Drukhari. Goodness, your models are old. I don't like your aesthetic, and you're not even half. Well, you're technically half an army, but I mean, I just don't like the Drukhari at all. You have so much potential, and you just haven't used it yet because GW never wants to update you. But that's okay. Your last combat patrol used to be great though. You're the emo elves, the dark elves. You love torturing people. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, both of the elves are under control of Slanesh. Well, we're almost wiped out by Slanesh, not under control. Eldari save themselves from that whenever they die by wearing soul stones. Drukhari just don't die. They just try not to die at all. But other than that, I wouldn't recommend starting them. I I can't justify them. I feel like I know a lot of people love them. I just don't. I don't like them. Alrighty, moving on to Gene Stealer Colts. Y'all are the civilian army in some way I could say. Because you are corrupted civilians, corrupted guard. Y'all are related to the Tyranids, which we'll get onto later. Tyranids are one of my favorite armies. But you are the cults of the Tyranids. They send in, if I can find the pure strains. Where are they? Goodness, I forgot how many allied units y'all have. I can't find them right now. They send in gene stealers to infiltrate and corrupt the world. Humans are... Oh, here they are. Humans are the main targets, and those humans keep reproducing, keep spreading the cult, um, until they muster up enough to start a rebellion, which will then send in the Tyranids to devour that world, and most of the gene stealers. Sometimes they'll keep a couple alive, but y'all are very similar. Y'all would be the civilian army if um if you weren't corrupted by the gene stealer cults. I actually like the bikes for this one, but that's just because they're normal motorbikes and not the jet bikes, which I hate. Alrighty. Moving on to Leagues of Votan, y'all are the Space Dwarves. The Space Mining Dwarves. I mean, if you like Deep Rock Galactic, you'll like these guys. I like this model right here. Sorry, Grant. Um, they hold grudges. That's something I know. They were technically related to humans, but I think they kind of strayed off and now live near the center of the galaxy. Um, I don't know much about y'all. I can't say much about y'all. I've got to be honest. Um, but yeah, I mean y'all are pretty cool. You paint similar to Space Marines. Y'all are just the dwarves. This battalion I actually really like. I love the Ironkin Steeljacks. Let me try and find them real quick. Yeah, here they are. Love these models. I love them. But I mean, if you like dwarves, you'll like Photon. Alrighty, moving on to Necrons. Hello, John. Necrons are the most ancient of all of the factions in 40k. They... I'm not even going to get into the lore on the War in Heaven. Um, they are... They were originally their own thing. They made a deal with the Catan to... I'm not really sure what they wanted, but in return they were able to overthrow the old ones, but the Catan betrayed them and stuck them in these metal bodies. So they ended up fighting off both the Catan and the old ones, shattering the Catan, and the Quarks and the Eldar were sent to help defeat the Necrons, but the Necrons went into tombs and simply outlasted them by resting for millions of years. And the Eldar are still alive with the Eldari, and the Quarks are still alive with the Orcs, which are next. But y'all kind of have that Egyptian, I wouldn't call it Egyptian, but that kind of mummy aesthetic. A bunch of skeletons, a bunch of... I love the Catan. Y'all are the best army in the game right now in terms of gameplay, just because of Pantheon and WoW Catan spam. But I actually like y'all. Really easy to paint, really hard to assemble. That's what I could say. Alrighty, moving on to the Orcs. The Orcs are cool. I like the Orcs. Grant loves the Orcs. Hello, Grant. The Orcs are very similar to my explanation of the Age of Sigmar Orcs. These came first, technically. If you want to go far back, Fantasy Orcs came first, but we're not going to do that. They're led by Gazkul Thraka, but they're mainly always fractured. They infight a lot. But the Orcs, they love to fight. And I love the Squigs. All of the Squigs, Squig Hogs. The Kill Rig, I love that model. But they love to fight. They're always looking for a good scrap. But they fight. They kill. They just want to fight and kill for the whole time. And they're getting a bunch of new models in 11th edition. That is a good model. That's really all I could say about them. Orcs, if you want an army that loves to fight and loves to kill, but you don't want Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines, go with the Orcs. They're really cool. Alrighty, next up is a Tal Empire, which is kind of the Gundam army, what I would say. Love the battle suits. Y'all are fish people. That's something I'll say. Y'all are fish people. Love all of the battle suits. Not so much big a fan of the Fire Warriors. You have the $2,080 Manta. Y'all also have the auxiliary units, which I really love. Y'all have the Kroot. The Kroot are awesome. And y'all do have one model for the Vespas as well. The Kroot are just amazing. I love them. But really, if you want to tell, if you love Gundam and you love fish people and you love Kroot, I would get into them. All shooty. No melee with Tau. Kroot are the closest thing you have, but they're still not that great at it. All shooty snipers. If you see artwork of a Tau and there's another enemy faction, the Tau have lost because if they were winning, that enemy faction would have been 3 miles away. Alrighty. And for the last of the Xenos, and my favorite of the Xenos, we have the Tyranids, aka the most morally justifiable army in all of 40k, because they're hungry. And I relate to that. I heavily relate to that. Y'all have some awesome models. Y'all have some old models. Some really old models. I guess I should say we. But I do excuse me, goodness gracious. I do Hive Fleet Behemoth, which is that color scheme right there. Most of the others you'll see is Hive Fleet Leviathan. Behemoth, by the way, is giant monsters. Leviathan is kind of a balanced Hive Fleet. There's also stuff like Hive Fleet Jormungandr, which is kind of like a digging, like a burrowing army. You have Hydra, which I believe is a cannibalistic army. No, that's Typhon. Hydra is the kind of gene stealer stealth army. Kraken, I believe, is related with Zoanthropes and like the Mouse Scepter. And Gorgon is like your flying gargoyles. There's a bunch more out there. But Tyranids are a horde army. Tyranids are horde all the way. You're gonna have like 60 or 80 Gaunts in one army. But honestly, Gaunts are fun enough to paint where I don't mind it. I usually don't like painting too many models, but I don't mind painting Gaunts. Y'all are fun to paint too. I mean, there's so much freedom you have with Tyranids. My favorite of your models is the Norn Emissary. He is such a gorgeous model. He's really big too. Tyrannofex is a really good model right there. If you're running a big monster army, you're going to want at least 2 of them. Hive Tyrant is a really good model, but he's kind of a catfish on the size. He's not that big. But really, if you love the bug aesthetic, that's what I would do. If you love bugs, that's Tyranids for you. But for playstyles, you have a lot of variety. You could do like all flying, all psychic, all giant monsters. Or you could do a mix, or you can run like 160 Gaunts. Alrighty, that's where this video is going to end off. I might do some 40k here and there, but honestly, I'm going to start focusing on Age of Sigmar a lot more, just because I've been having so much fun with it. But I'll do some 40k, and if you really want me to do a 40k video, and you watch to the end, please comment, do this faction right now, or I'll fart in your face. Then I won't do that faction because I'll enjoy that. Kidding. Um, anyways, I will see y'all later. Bye-bye.